Fans, welcome to another episode of Nerd Words. We're going to be doing some in-depth reviews of some TV shows. Right now, we're going to give an overview of some of the good TV shows that are out there right now. Of course, Walking Dead season just ended, and we've got some Walking Dead stuff coming up. But there's a lot of other just really good shows besides Walking Dead out there.
Well, the big one for me coming out this week was the debut of Fargo. I know you've not been able to watch it yet. I watched it. Of course, our stalwart director and general television and guru and movie guru, Chris Burton, also watched it. And we both agree that it was an absolutely excellent show. Typical FX tradition, strong actors. Billy Bob Thornton did a great job. Martin Freeman, who you're watching this show, you almost assuredly know from Sherlock and the Hobbit movies. Martin did an excellent job. Really solid storytelling. It's a very adult themed show, like Justified, some of the other FX shows, Breaking Bad. That vein of show, very adult theme, but very good show. I mean, you got bloody violent. It reminded me of a Coen Brothers movie, and of course they created Fargo.
Never went wrong with the Coen Brothers.
I mean, it's set. I mean, Strange is not set in Fargo. It's set in Minnesota. This particular one. It's going to be an anthology series. So, if you watch American Horror Story, another excellent show, it's the same way. I don't know if the actors will be the same, but probably won't actually. But they're going to tell a story with this arc, and then if it gets renewed, and I imagine it probably will, they will tell another story with the next season. So, I can't recommend the show more highly. It comes on by the time you see this. Maybe Wednesday, Thursday. It comes on Tuesday nights at 10 on FX, so it took the place of Justified when Justified season ended.
Another great show that's out there is Arrow. It is probably one of the best adaptations of the DC universe ever put to film, be it movies. It's on par with the cartoons like the Batman animated series.
See, that's one show I've personally not watched yet, but I've heard nothing but rave reviews about it from most anyone who likes comic book movies. I suspect that it's going to be a really, really popular show for years to come. I don't know how they're going to work it or not as far as it goes for integrating that particular Green Arrow into the Justice League, if that appears the direction the movies are heading. I know the fellow who plays Arrow,
Stephen Arnell.
What do they call? They don't call him Green Arrow on the show.
No.
That's just my understanding. I know that he said he would love to play in the Justice League film, and it would only make sense to do that
Because you've got a built-in audience.
Like I said, they're putting the Flash out. The Flash is going to be debuting his series pretty soon. It's already tied in with Arrow.
They've touched on so much. Okay, Deathstroke. He's only sort of a Green Arrow villain in comics, but man, they've done a good job of portraying him on. He is my favorite DC character.
Deathstroke has been a thorn in the side of many a supergroup over the years. The Teen Titans originally. Of course, he's been a thorn in the side of the Justice League. Several stories about Deathstroke basically being the anti-Batman. As far as it goes, he's obviously a bad guy, but he has the ability to figure out how to kill pretty much any member of the Justice League.
Right, and he's such a strong character. Of course, they took the Royal Flush game and made them not stupid. That's an accomplishment.
If you can make a lot of DC's villains not stupid, was it the Clock King that's also on there?
The Clock King, they've made him good. Of course, now Deadshot's actually a pretty good character. I mean, he's a rip-off of Bullseye, but he's still a good character, and he's been on there.
Solomon Grundy.
Brother Blood, who's probably your second or third best Titans villain, has been on there. And they've name-dropped places like Bloodhaven, where Nightwing's at. They've name-dropped Ted Kord, the Blue Beetle. They've name-dropped a bunch of people.
They like or dislike Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, what I saw that I didn't like, what I understand, it's gotten much better recently. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is directly tied in with the Marvel Universe you see on the screen. I'm not sure why Time Warner DC would not do that. As you said, everybody says this is an excellent show. Very well. I saw some of the highlights of it. Very well produced. It looks like you're watching a movie when you're watching scenes from the show. Very well acted. DC doesn't always make the best choices with their superhero directions,
They really don't.
but you would think that they would just continue this on and move it into the TV realm, from the TV realm, pardon me, to the cinematic universe,
Now,
if they're wanting to do the Justice League.
right now there's a show. You know, to come back for its inexplicable second season. Is it about time for Under the Dome to come back? Now, I think we've all agreed that show just went. But the first episode is written and directed by Stephen King.
My favorite part of the story of Under the Dome, and the big overarching part of the story, and I mean, sort of spoiler alert here. Under the Dome, it's about how quickly society can break down. In my opinion, it's basically a modern day. You're under a dome in a city, but Lord of the Flies. And Lord of the Flies, if you've not read it, but now I'm sorry, I'm going to give you a spoiler.
You don't belong watching this
Lord of the
show.
Flies is a novel specifically about these civilized schoolboys from England. They're in the South Pacific on a ship. I'm not sure why. It never tells you why. The ship, starts taking on water, and they're near an island. They get off and get on the island. Within a week, they've descended back into savages. They're running around naked on the beach. They're killing each other. It's about how quickly society and the culture. Are you raised to be civil, or are you naturally civil? And obviously, in William Golding's opinion, and in Stephen King's opinion, you're not raised to be civil. You're taught to be civil, and that's what you know. And you revert back to nature, and that's what happened. In a week, in Under the Dome that's the time frame for the entire story in the book. Chaos. I'm not going to give you any more further spoilers from what happens in the book. But needless to say, the show is way off the plantation on that one.
I mean, I love the book. It's in my top 5 of Stephen King books. That's saying a lot.
I can't narrow it down to a top 5 for me among
it's tough, isn't it?
I mean, if I count the Dark Tower series as one book, it becomes a little bit easier, but it is tough.
I count the Dark Tower series as one, and that's number 1.
Because I always tend back towards saying, oh, this is a great book, and then I think, my God, what? I can name off here my favorites. It seemed would be the Dark Tower if you count it as one. It, The Stand, The Talisman, Dr. Sleep, The Shining, Needful Things. I love them.
It's tough.
You just start going. You keep going. But yeah, I like some of the actors in Under the Dome. I wish they'd stepped with the story, and because it was planned to be a one season and done. But it did big ratings for CBS in the summer. It was the #1 show of summer, so they decided we've got to keep this thing, so let's make it get really, really far off track. And King had a point about it, which if the show was good, I still would like it, but it was not that good to me for the most part. It had its moments, but King was like, I didn't change. Nothing changed in the story for Under the Dome. Go look at your book. It's still exactly the same story as it always has been. But to me, it just got a little off track.
Now, another show I was reading a little bit about it today. It's going to be a 13 episode single arc mini-series that I have very mixed feelings about, but I'm intrigued by. Is Heroes Reborn.
Speaking of off track, good Lord, that show frustrated me. I wanted to just punch everybody involved in it. It got completely out of control with how ludicrous and nonsensical the plots were to me. I mean, you have these super beings that can do anything. They're not like your typical superheroes. They don't fight for truth, justice, in the American way. They're just people who have superpowers. And they're ambiguous with their morals most of the time. You have this FBI agent with no superpowers at all, who's essentially threatening to kill them all constantly. And none of them, steps up to do anything about it. He's just a normal human being. And at the point of the last season, I was just calling them, just named the show this idiots with superpowers.
Yeah, like I said, after season 2, that show just it went lost on me. It just got awful. But, I loved the concept, and I really want to see what they do with this 13-episode miniseries.
I'll see how much of the cast they can get back.
My understanding is none of them. It's going to be a completely new group of people. Hayden Panettiere found out about it from her friend, who takes her and say, hey, are you going to be in Heroes Reborn? She's like, what? Granted, that pretty much takes away my favorite part of the original.
She was most people's favorite part of the original. yeah, it got really far off track. It was the same creative team. Maybe they can recapture the magic of the first season or two, but maybe not. I don't know. I hate it when a series loses its way.
And that one certainly
goes
did.
off the track.
And as we're running short on time, let's touch on one more that'll be starting back soon, and that's Bates Motel.
Bates Motel's already long started back.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, never mind.
So I've not watched any on DVR. All of them. I'll eventually watch them all. The first season was pretty good. It's not the greatest show that you'll ever watch, but it was pretty solid. And some people like it more than other people. Another show that started back in the horror genre. And I watched the first season and enjoyed it. I've not watched any of the second season yet, but once again, Chris, who we talk about often, and loves the general horror genre and is very good with movies and couldn't pretty much trust Chris's opinion about everything. He said this second season of Hannibal was just knocking it out of the park. He said
The first season was amazing.
Flat out outstanding. Said you can't. He's just been blown away by it every week. So look at Hannibal. It comes on Friday night, I believe at 10 on NBC. For now, NBC's probably going to cancel it because they're stupid. They cancel most of it. Other networks and other venues have already said they will pick Hannibal up immediately. So you get to watch the rest of the story. Unlike me, who I really enjoy the Glades, and A&E really shafted all the Glades fans. If you watch the Glades, I don't know if you do or not. Spoiler alert for right here. Turn it down if you don't saw the last episode. The cliffhanger to the last season, Jim, the lead character, is getting married. Jim gets shot as the cliffhanger right before his wedding. He's laying on his living room floor bleeding to death. Well, after that cliffhanger aired, A&E announced that they were canceling the Glades.
Well, that makes sense.
So the writers didn't even know. The writers, like, we would have written a different ending if we had known we were going to be canceled. So that just, A&E was just shoving it to the fans. I try not to watch A&E that much. Longmire actually is a really good show on there, but I know they kind of screwed people over with that one.
Well, fans, we are about out of time as we're a new channel and are limited to 15 minutes. We'll see you next time on Nerd World.